Hello children, you all are welcome to Chill Out Zonal English channel. Today we are starting the lesson on novel, the last 3 chapters. Yes, we have to focus on competency, extract necessary information from various types of texts, and competency levels 5.6 extract the general idea of a text, and 5.7 identifies the writer's intention. Already we have discussed the other chapters. Today we have to start from chapter 11. I think you have got a clear idea about the other chapters. So here we have a very important information. So Jagan barricaded himself. So here we have barricaded means shut someone into a place by blocking all the entrances. Here Jagan did this because he was worrying about his son's behavior. So he shut the communicating door. He closed the ventilator between two parts of the house. And he gave up the use of the front gate. So why did he do that? Because he did not like to talk with his own son and his daughter-in-law. So there he gave up the use of the front gate. So he locked the front door also, and he used the back door. So back door was not used for years. So he reminded his past when he was walking along the road. So there he was able to remind his past life as a child and how happy he was. He played with his elder brother and how he caught grasshoppers, and they kept the grasshoppers in a bottle. So their sister was shouting, "You are killing the animals here. So you will both go to hell." So that is what his sister told him. But as children, they did that. They caught grasshoppers. They did not think of any sin of that. So here when he comes to the present, he thinks of their relationship. That means as a brother, his elder brother and sister, he doesn't have any contact with them. So there are reasons for that. Earlier, they didn't like him joining in the Gandhian movement. So they had a very weak relationship after that. So now he has another problem. What is that? Now his befitting Christian daughter-in-law Grace and his own son. So because of them, Jagan can't face his brother and sister. So they can't keep a relationship with him. Why? Because we know that Jagan's family members, they are traditional Indians. So now a Christian outsider has come to his own place. So he can't keep contacts with them. And on the other hand, Jagan's brother, he is angry with him. So their relationship is weak. He remembers his brother and sister, and they don't like his daughter-in-law. So those are the problems that Jagan is facing these days. So that is why he barricaded himself. So what did he do? He wanted to avoid everybody. And he isolated himself. Because he became an outcast of his own family, he must avoid them. He knows that his relations highly appreciate the traditions of India. So that is why he wanted to live as an isolated person. Time passed and he wanted to know what happened to Grace. He wanted to know about Grace because he was in isolation. He didn't meet Mali or Grace. So now he wanted to meet her. He wanted to know what happened to her. So then one day he went to his own son and asked, "Where is Grace?" So as usually, he was asking, "Why do you want her?" So there Jagan got the news that she has gone to stay with some friends. Actually, it is not accepted in traditional Indian society. Women can't move here freely here and there. So father son, they talked for a while and the boy was asking questions from his father. And father specifies here, he says, "You must both be married soon." Because Jagan wanted to arrange their marriage. And he wants a legal marriage because he doesn't approve the living together. So chapter 11 is very short. So we get those information in chapter 11. And when we move on to chapter 12, now here we find again now he is full of thoughts. His mind is filled with thoughts. And he was thinking of Mali and Grace. Always he was thinking of them. And because of that, he became mechanical. He wanted to talk sometimes and sometimes he didn't talk to anybody. And cousin noticed this and he wanted to talk with Jagan. But Jagan was not in a mood to talk with them. So what did he do? He avoided them and actually he is fed up of everybody. He didn't like to have a relationship with anybody. So that was the reason. So there, so we see he wanted to recollect his memories. Now we know his only theme is son and daughter-in-law. So there he went to the past. One evening he sat alone on the pedestal of statue of Sir Frederick Lovely. So there he was able to see his house and his house was in dark. So there his thoughts turned to the past. How now entire chapter 12 gives an account of Jagan's past in a flashback. Now their writer uses a technique, stream of consciousness technique. Now when the writer uses this technique, as readers, we can know the feelings of a character. So there the writer probes into the inner feelings of a character. So most of the writers give more details about the feelings of somebody. So here he employs this technique and there he remembered how lamps were burning in every room during the festivals. Now we know in India, they like to celebrate every event in their life. They have so many festivals. So it was the time long before the birth of Mali. So that was the time that his father had arranged him his marriage. Actually, that time it had been the brightest house in the area, we can say. So he recollected everything here. And there he was able to remind how he traveled to the village Kuppam. Actually, it was a traditional journey of an arranged marriage. It was arranged by the elders of his family. Actually, elders arranged the uh, son or brother's marriages. So that was a custom in India. So he was happy here. Before the journey, Jagan was given advices by the elders of the family. Don't stare at the girl. And father says, I have seen her and I know she is good looking. And also, he was instructed how he must eat. He must eat only when he is repeatedly pressed to do so. Otherwise, he can't eat. That is why how elders advised Jagan. He remembers. And he remembers bride's relations and how they had assembled to have a look at the proposed bridegroom. The proposed bridegroom was Jagan. They were eagerly waiting for them. So we know proposed bride, she was Ambika, and Ambika fascinated him, and he remembers how he looked at her. So she was with her total Indian look, her hair decorated with flowers, and her jewelry, and her sari, and the color of the sari. So everything fascinated Jagat. So, and he remembers how he behaved there as following the given instructions by the elders of the family. So this was Jagan's first occasion, we can say, for displaying ceremonial behavior. He was very decent. He went there. He ate as instructed. He didn't look at the girl, but had a occasional glances. So that was the way he was behaving there. So very soon, uh, in the village, everybody knew that he was to be married. So here the writer brings an account of Indian marriage customs, and it is given step by step. Okay, dear children, here Jagan could not say anything about uh, to their parents or to their elders. Why? Because the elders of the family, they demanded a dowry of 5,000 rupees. Actually, Jagan didn't like that. But in Indian society, it is a custom. The wives or the women, when they are given into marriage, they should be given a dowry. Now, actually, this reason, it worried Jagan a lot. So, but Jagan could not say anything about it. So, they agreed with that. They agreed to give 5,000 rupees as Ambika's dowry. So, one evening, bride's party arrived. So, actually, Pute, it was a grand feast. So, they brought so many presents. Their betel leaves in a tray, saffron and new clothes and fragrant sandal paste and sugar crystals, and so many presents were there. So after they came with them, the priest announced their marriage. Again, that was another custom in their society, Indian society, we can say. So the father of the bride gave an important document here. What was that? And it was given to Jagan's father. So it was half of the dowry, 2,500 rupees. But at that time, it was a big amount. So half the dowry was given to Jagan's father. And Ambika's father was asking to count the money. So after this, it was followed by a grand feast. So actually it was a custom. So their expert cooks were hired and visitors were treated well. Music was played and the house had been lit with brass lamps and house was decorated. So it was a festive occasion in Jagan's house. And Jagan was very happy with all these celebrations. And the bride's party left by the midnight train. So they had to leave, they didn't stay. And Jagan's mother was very happy. And she was satisfied by the presents given by the bride's party. And mother expressed her utmost approval. Okay, your father-in-law is not a mean sort. See how solid all the presents are. Like that, Jagan's parents were happy. So 3,000 cards were printed and saris for the bride and clothes for Jagan were purchased. And all these arrangements were done by Jagan's father. And he was busy with recollecting names of the invitees. But Jagan could not actively participate in those things. So while celebrating this event on the wedding day, Jagan's wedding day, and one of the Jagan's father's cousins, he was given a half-torn banana because the visitors were served in the banana leaves and he was given a half-torn banana leaf to dine on. Actually, it worried Jagan. So, but anyhow, Ambika's father, yes, he was saying sorry, he was apologizing for that. And there was another threat here. So it was that the bride was not provided with the gold waist belt. Actually, it was not provided by the parents of Ambika. So the women in Jagan's party, they were angry. In India, gold as the dowry, it is highly valued. So they felt that this was a cheating because Ambika was not given the belt, waist belt, a gold waist belt. So they wanted to break or stop the marriage. But anyhow, later this gold belt was delivered. Actually, what they expected, maybe it is a different style, maybe the weight is less than they expected. So anyhow, Jagan didn't approve this. So he wanted to safeguard his own wife. So we see how he loved Ambika. And he explained this is the latest fashion. And there Jagan's relations criticized Jagan. Why? Because he already safeguarded the wife's party. And they told that he had already become henpecked. He has become their own person. So they didn't agree with them. Anyhow, the marriage was done. And Jagan remembers how it happened. He remembers their marriage and they were very happy. So she became the daughter-in-law of that house and she became the wife of Jagan. And after, as the daughter-in-law of that particular house, she did her share of work in the kitchen. She helped her mother-in-law and Jagan was with his wife always. And he spent more hours with Ambika. And his mother, she told, a son is a son until the wife comes. And further sister added, we have forgotten your face, because here Ambika and Jagan, they lived in their own room, and Jagan didn't come out most of the time. So mother and his sister, they were sharing their feelings with him. And his elder brother also advised him regarding this matter, because Jagan spent more hours with Ambika. So later, when his wife failed to have a baby, and there were so many rumors. Now, as expected, Ambika didn't have a baby. So that is another conflict in the drama play. Okay, Pute, in the novel. So no sight of a child in the house. According to the mother-in-law, the house was empty. So as usual, in every society, I think, the wife is to be blamed, not the husband. So everybody started telling Ambika must be barren. So there, the traditional conflict comes out. So what is the traditional conflict? Daughter-in-law and mother-in-law conflict. Jagan's mother often blamed her. Actually, it is a hint of traditional mother-in-law. So mother-in-law thought that Ambika was at the same time disturbing him in his studies. At that time, Jagan was getting ready for his exam. We know that Ambika is not an educated, she is illiterate. And Jagan heard this news and began to study hard, because he thought that his wife is going to be blamed because of this reason. He did not like others blaming his wife. And he was getting ready his exam. He worked very hard. And there we can see his love to her. And time went on. The conflict is there. As we in Sinhala we call Nandamma Leli Randu Sarwal. So Pute, one day, one morning, his father announced, next Tuesday we are going to the temple on Badri Hill. So Jagan was asking, why are you going there? His father said that the temple was famous of Santana Krishna and people visit there as a remedy for barrenness on women. If the woman is barren, they go there to make a vow. So they believed that the blessings of the God will be a reason for the fertility. So they thought that Ambika will give birth to a male child as a result of the God's blessings. So once again, this is the traditional Indian society. So their customs. Now they didn't go and see a doctor here. They went to the temple. They made a vow. They wanted to have a baby, a male baby. And they wanted the blessings of the gods. So there Jagan's mother was very happy, because she was able to find a solution for the barrenness of her daughter-in-law. Anyhow, Ambika agreed with them. And when they met people on the way, and they were asking where they were going. So when they told that they were going to the temple on Badri Hill, everybody told them that they will be blessed with children. So how, we don't know the reason, but anyhow, Mali was born after they visited the temple. So the birth was celebrated, everybody was happy. So, chapter 12, this is the only chapter now we can get the past events in their family. Here we were able to identify his brother, sister, his parents, and his early life. And the whole narration has been done in a chronological manner. So we know about everybody. We were able to identify the characteristics of the different people in their own home. And here the writer was able to capture the Indian flavor in his novel. Marriage customs, visiting the temple, the gold problem, dowry, and how they lived in as a daughter-in-law and mother-in-law. So all these Indian society, the, in other words, Indian flavor, it was brought by the writer in chapter 12. And when we move on to chapter 30, now we know that he was not at home, he was at the foot of lovely statue. And we see chapter 30. Now still Jagan was at the foot of lovely statue. Jagan fell asleep there. Actually, it was already morning. He was thinking of his son. So that is why he remembered Ambika, his marriage. And now he doesn't want to leave his own house. According to him, it's tainted. He remembered how his parents' relations celebrated their 60th birthday. Once again, it is a festival. But his 60th birthday passed unnoticed. Nobody was there to celebrate that. So, Mali, actually, we know Mali doesn't like festivals, ceremonies. Even he rejected his own marriage wedding. Yes, and he did not like to knot the thali around his own bride Grace. So, thinking all these things, he went to his house and came out with the bundle. So, what is this bundle? Yes, he uh, got his charka here. So, he wanted to have this. He went to his house and ties his charka and few other things. So, it's a duty. He thinks that it is his duty that he must take this. He says, I owe Gandhi. And he remembers how he made a vow before him that he is going to spin every day. Now, as readers, we have a question. Why did he take this charka? And he came out his house with this bundle, and he had the key of his house, especially the key of the back door. Now it is a deserted house. Nobody is there. Now Jagan came out. So what did he do? He left his house. Why? Because he believed that evil spirit has entered into house. So he did not like to live in that house because he thought that the son and the daughter-in-law are living in sin. So an evil spirit has entered into his house. So as readers, here we can go into his inner mind. Why? He firmly believed. He wanted to go to meet his brother, but he knew that they are not going to welcome him. So his desire to see his elder brother vanished because of this. Why? When he saw cousin on a bicycle. Now he passed Sir Frederick Lovelace statue with his bundle, and cousin came on a bicycle, and Jagan stood and looked at the cousin, And as he had never seen the cousin on a bicycle before, he was looking at that. And Jagan was talking to him. Yes, he was asking, what is this circus feat so early in the day? At your age, you may kill yourself. Because he was riding his bicycle very fast. Jagan doesn't know anything, the reason he doesn't know. So cousin replies here, I was in a hurry to meet you. Mali is in prison. Then only Jagan knew the news. So why is he in prison? And he was found with half a bottle of alcohol in his car. Jagan was very sad about his son. His eyes filled with tears. He's worrying about him. Here, as a practical man, cousin wants to take the necessary steps. But Jagan doesn't think of them. Instead, he is worrying about his food and lodging. His fatherly affection comes out here. So we know he is a very good father. He was both mother and father to Mali. Now he is worrying about his son. But he is not going to take necessary steps to release him. So what did he want to do here? But he came out here, but he didn't change his decision. Now he has taken a decision. What is that decision? His decision is to go to the retreat. Now already he has visited the place. Now he wanted to go there because he wanted to relax his mind. Now he thinks that he is a free man. Why? Because he gives the cousin a bunch of keys and a check. So he wants to go without interfering Mali's matters here. He does not want to interfere in those. He gave the keys, he gave a check, and he asks him, open the shop, Mali will take charge of it. So he's going to leave his sweet mart. So that is why he asked cousin to open the shop. So check was 2000 rupees check, and also he promised to buy an air ticket for Grace if she is going to leave the country, and he has settled everything. But here we have to note, he takes his bank book and his checkbook. He is going to a retreat, but he is taking his bank book and checkbook. So that is the end of the story, and he thinks that his son is leading a sinful life. So that is why he has taken this decision. So he wants to find a comfort by going there. So he wants to withdraw from the world. So he retires to his chosen retreat, but takes the bank book and the checkbook. So as readers, we have a question here. So why did he take them? So no answer is there. So is he a hypocrite then? So why didn't he give the checkbook to Mali? So why didn't he give his money, wealth to his own son? So as readers, we have to decide whether he is a hypocrite or not. So he wants to pass the rest of days in the retreat. So he says that he wants to give up the materialistic life. He says like that. But if he wants to give up the materialistic life, so why did he take bank book and the checkbook? So a question. So there we have a question. Now who will be there to guide Mali and Grace? So when we talk about Jagan's character, so we can argue here, Pute, he has taken all his wealth when he goes to the retreat because maybe he has an idea to give those later when Mali becomes a good person. Or maybe he is a hypocrite. So we can argue either way, but you have to support your answers. So today, now we have finished with all the 13 chapters in a nutshell actually. And I hope to talk about East-West conflict today. So East-West conflict. Now we know Indian writers, so they belong to the Indo-Anglian literature. What is Indo-Anglian literature? Those are literary works created by Indian English writers. So they bring out this East-West conflict as a prominent feature in Indo-Anglian novels. So especially Indian novels in English. So up to chapter 13, we have discussed some points. So we have identified East qualities and West qualities. So these novels were written after independence. So we know English people ruled India. So at that ruling period, Indians had tensions. Why? Because they had their pride in their own culture. They were very proud of their culture. So this spiritual culture was destroyed by the British. They invaded their country and they wanted to destroy their own identity. So Indians, they didn't tolerate those people, especially the British people. They didn't tolerate them. So during British colonial rule, many leaders launched struggles. Pute, when you get a question regarding the conflict East-West, please don't start your answer in a hackneyed way. Don't write R.K. Narayan wrote Vendor of Sweets. It is a novel of East-West conflict. So just have an introduction like this. How they use this conflict, why did they use this conflict in their novel, like that. If you can use them in your answer, so it will be a different answer, Pute. So please remember these things. And what happened, so those leaders, they wanted to safeguard their cultural values and traditions. So among them, Mahatma Gandhi stands as a prominent character. So his campaign helped a lot to protect their cultural values. And also it attracted common people in India. So that is why many people joined the movement. So in our novel, so now how do we connect this? Now in our novel, the writer brings us a nationalist. Writer brings us a nationalist. Who is that? He is Jagan. He uses the simple weaving machine first. Why Gandhi ji wanted to use this spinning machine, and as given instructions, Jagan followed his instructions. So he was using this simple machine. So that is why when he leaves the place, he gets that. But the writer never says that he took Bhagavad Gita with him, but he reads their traditional religious book, Bhagavad Gita. He weaves. So there we can see Jagan as a traditional man. So as a traditional man, we can support the answer. We can take his costume, his sandals, his prayers for the gods every morning, and how he believes in nature cure. And he didn't like to give aspirin to Ambika. Why? Because he firmly believes in nature cure. So we can bring out his natural diet. So there we can take, or the writer has taken, Jagan as a person in the conventional Hindu society. And Kasim is also a part of that society. Pute, now when you read the thing, you will get these ideas. Now what you learned in all these chapter 13, we had chapter 13 chapters, so we learned everything. And Kasim is also a part of this society. Now writer introduces this traditional man, and Kasim is also a part of this traditional society, and Jagan represents East, and he always wanted to be a representative of that culture. But regarding his son, now when you take his son, he is not a part of this culture. He didn't like that. He hated. So he always tried to embrace the Western culture. He wanted to embrace that. So that is why he went to America and started eating beef, and he wanted to change. So there the writer brings the conflict. So the conflict of East-West. Or in other words, we can say it is a clash between two communities. Now here, Mali gives up their own culture. He starts wearing shirts and trousers. He refused their traditional clothes. So his new vision is not accepted by his own father. So we have two here. One is a nationalist and other is a westernized person. So in a way we can introduce it as a difference between two generations. So as well as East-West conflict, it is a conflict between two generations. Now, among the two characters, Mali and Grace, now we find Grace as a different girl. Why? Because she wins the goodwill of Jagan. Now Jagan likes her. She wears the sari. She wanted to be an Indian woman. So that is why she wore a sari. She decorated her hair with flowers, and she took Friday as a spiritual day. So she wanted to adjust her life according to her father-in-law. So we have a question once again. So why did he do that? Now we know she came to India as a business deal. We discussed in our early chapters. She came. So she didn't marry the boy, but she came to help Mali in his business matters. So then why did she wear a sari? Then why did she behave as an Indian wife? So those are questions. So as readers, we have a question. Both Grace and Mali, did they want to cheat Jagan? Or did they want to rob his money? But anyhow, we can't give a proper answer for that, because we can think that Grace is a good girl and she wanted to be a traditional wife in India. So we can argue like that. And on the other hand, we can say, did she come here to rob money? We have a question here. The writer doesn't give an answer. A fixed answer is not there. So according to her father-in-law, she did everything. So, but Mali didn't adjust according to his father. So there we can argue. If both of them wanted to rob money, both of them could have behaved in a different way. But Grace is different, Mali is different here. So there you can support your answer, Grace as a good girl. Because she didn't follow Mali's ideas. She did not embrace the American culture. Here she adjusted. She behaved as an Indian wife. So there you can support your answer like that. But when you give your answers, Pute, support your answer with the quotations. Okay? So while Mali wanted to give up their own culture, she embraced it. So that is how you are going to support. So we can see two cultures in the same house here. Same house, two cultures. So Jagan's ancestral house, two parts. One part we see prayers to the Hindu gods and read in religious books and spinning machine, simple diet, traditional clothes, like that. But the other part, none of these traditions were done. Okay, so here Mali brings the tradition, introduces his writing machine, and he wants to start the factory. Now, again, we have a question. Now, if he wanted to change, instead of introducing the writing machine, he could have developed his own sweet mart as a restaurant in America. But here, so he didn't do like that. He wanted to start the factory. He wanted to be a big businessman. So he needs father's money here. And that's why Jagan reduced price of the sweets. There Jagan thought that his wealth led Mali into wicked ways. That is what Jagan believed. So he reduced the prices. So he thought that there will be no further making of money. So then he thought that his son is not going to ask money from him. So here, what is the most heart-touching event in the novel? He finds his son and Grace. They are not married. They are living together. So his son's marriage, or his son's, we can say, living together, comes as a shock. So again we have a conflict. Now there, chapter 12, the writer purposely brings out the traditional marriage of Jagan to compare and contrast the East and West. Grace comes without marrying, no festival, no occasion, no wedding festival. So they are living together. So it is not approved in the Indian society. So it is a part of Indian culture. Living together is a part of West culture. So that is why it comes to Jagan as a shock. So he thought that it was living in sin. So that is why he decided to leave his own house. So there he did the best thing according to him. He wanted to run away from it. So who comes there as his savior? Chinadori comes. Yes. Now Jagan thinks Chinadore is his savior. And he goes to the retreat. So we have to bring out the most important incidents in chapter 12 here. How he married Ambika. It was a proposed marriage. And we can point out the birth of Mali. Now they go to a temple. So it is once again a feature in Eastern society. So we have actually a perfect Hindu home. But his son is not going to continue this. So that is why it provides a contrast between East and West. Their Mali doesn't continue these traditions, conflict. And also we have here in the Eastern culture, the traditional mother-in-law. Now when the daughter-in-law gets no babies, she starts a traditional conflict. She is blaming Ambika. And we know how Ambika faced her. So here Pute, in this conflict, we can have symbols also. What are those symbols of East and West? So we can have charka. It is a symbol of East. Jagan's costume, food habits, religious book, and his retreat. So those are symbolic of India and the Eastern culture. So the other symbols, the telephone, novel writing machine, typewriter, beef eat in Mali. So these things symbolize Western culture. So in our novel, so we have these culture, two cultures. So writer brings out to highlight the validity of their own culture. Now at last what happened? Now who wins here? Now Jagan goes to the retreat. Actually it is a spiritual bliss. So he will have a relaxed mind. Now definitely Mali will have to take over his own business. So that is what R.K. Narayan wanted to highlight in his novel. So because they were suffering as in the colonial period, British rulers, they tried to destroy their own identity, their own culture, their traditions and everything. So they wanted to safeguard them. So that is why he writes this novel, or he wrote this novel. So you can think of more details, you can add more. And I think now you have got a clear idea about this. But we have to talk about father and son conflict. Now already we have, last time in a nutshell we discussed the order and disorder. And we have discussed locations. So be careful. Now when you are free, now find out the details that you can support for East and West. Then order and disorder, father and son conflict. So about the title you can have some idea, and about the location, the Malgudi town. Okay. So I think, Pute, you have got a clear idea. And if you have questions regarding this, you can uh, have your comments on your Google Classroom. Then we can arrange another session for the novel if you feel that you want. And I wish you good luck at your exam. And we will do some questions discuss. And may God bless you, children. Thank you all.